This is UMBC Careers Unleashed, where we unleash stories, insights, and expertise to support you on your career journey. Let's dive in.
What's up, Retrievers? I am Michelle Breen. I work here in the Career Center, and I'm filling in today for Stephanie Taylor Okokuni, your pod host. She is sick today, which is great news for me, but hope you feel better soon, Steph. I am sitting here with Marykate, and I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell you a little bit about her.
Great. Yeah. Hi, I'm Marykate. I was on one of the podcasts, maybe two earlier, and I work behind the scenes with Judson and everything. You were on the pod before too.
I'm a friend of the pod.
You're a friend of the pod,
Yep.
and we haven't been on together.
No, this
So
is
I'm
exciting.
really excited.
This is so exciting.
Yeah, Michelle and I work together in the Career Center. I guess in total for me, I've been working in career development for like 13 years, maybe, and some change, maybe some more. But what about you? How long have you been?
I have been, almost 13. So two in career services, and then 10 in K-12, the K-12 space. So we got a lot of years total.
Combined. Yeah. Because today is going to be a fun episode. I think we're going to get through it fast.
I think so too. And today we are busting myths about careers, industry, jobs. We're going to do a bunch of myth busting and some facts maybe as well.
Okay, we'll see. Myth or fact?
Myth or fact. And we're going to do the first one. And so the first one this is a really good one, I think. You need to choose a major that aligns directly to career for job security. Is that a myth or a fact?
My take, I guess this is just a bunch of hot takes.
Yes.
Hot take on this particular one is that I think it's a myth because I guess my story is I studied finance for my undergraduate degree. My graduate degree was in like organizational leadership, so still kind of in the business realm, but more like leadership driven, and I like those classes a lot. But am I working in finance today? No. And I realized I wasn't going to go that track or like be an analyst or be in wealth management or anything pretty like before I graduated. Like I knew, but I stuck with that major and it gave me really great foundational skills. Like I do not regret it at all, even if I really don't use half the things that I've learned in that degree program. I mean, the other half I do. So right. I found it super beneficial regardless of going into like a specific career field related to finance. So I would say myth. What would you say?
I would also say myth, because of the same reasons. My undergraduate degree is in history, and then my graduate degree is in teaching history.
Oh,
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't do that at all.
Not
anymore. And most of the students I work with are in IS. So I definitely don't do anything with that anymore. But I will say again, I don't have any regrets in my specific industry or my specific major because I feel like a lot of the skills I learned were transferable for what I do now. And it also gives me like really good insight into students in those fields, right? Like what they can do. And I think that we really easily get into a box of what you can do with a lot of majors, but specifically English history. And so I think that helps me at least show students how to think outside the box. So yes, I think that's definitely a myth. And I've had job security because it's education. So that's a good job security. But yeah.
Yeah, that's like a whole other conversation. Yeah. Like what does job security really mean?
Yeah. Especially today, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the fact that, we can pivot and like change career paths and like ideas of what we want to do throughout our entire lifetime, like I think that's actually job security, right? Like it doesn't mean you're going to be in the same job forever.
Right.
It means whatever skills you're gaining, you're going to be able to adapt and like use in different ways for whatever you want to pursue.
Yeah. No one wants to stay in jobs forever anymore.
At least not anymore. But I've been in this field for a while, so maybe I'm an anomaly.
Great.
Okay, myth.
Myth. Easy.
Awesome.
Clap. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, I'll pose the second one.
Okay.
So this is something I hear a lot from students and question I get from students a lot. So like, I guess unpaid internships are not worth it. And that would be the phrase that I hear sometimes. So what do you think, myth or fact?
Oh, this one's very hard because as, institutions, as higher ed, we're moving towards the idea that all internships should be paid, right?
For sure.
You're doing a job, you're working for someone, it should be paid. But that being said, media myth.
Media myth.
Media myth. I do think that unpaid internships are worth it. I think that any experiential learning, any work experience is worth it, whether that's an unpaid internship, a shadowing opportunity, volunteer experience. All of those are unpaid generally. I do think there is value in that. Number one, it looks really good on a resume, whatever it is. And I see a lot of students too, which is very interesting to me, who will write unpaid or remote on certain things. And I'm like, you don't need to do that.
Sure, you don't, yeah.
You really don't have to. But they feel like they want to be honest or as honest as possible. But no one's going to say like, well, were you paid for this experience? I think that it's really about writing what skills you got. It's about learning more about the industry. So while I do think that you should be paid, I think they are still worth it if you're not paid. And a lot of those more are those humanities and
there's a lot like that. Yeah, in the arts, and even like volunteering is probably looped into that same category, whether it's like a full internship or not, right? But like any kind of unpaid experience, you're not getting paid to be in school and work on a school project. Like maybe
you're paying for it.
You're paying for it, actually. Yeah, exactly. So like if you think about like the unpaid bucket is actually pretty broad on the types of like different kinds of experiences you can get and have in your back pocket. I see it as an asset. Though, yes, on the internship side of the house, we are definitely advocating for the paid experiences for a bunch of different reasons. But I completely agree with you. Have you had an unpaid experience in your time or really enjoyed it or it really helped you?
Have I? Don't think so.
Yeah, because I think for me, it's like I think I've definitely volunteered before.
Yeah, I volunteered. Well, it had nothing to do with my industry, but I volunteered at a pediatric hospital because I wanted to hold babies. I'm not sure why I did that. But again, I learned, like, I put it on my resume.
Yeah.
While I was in college, but
awesome.
Yeah,
I did. It's funny you said that. You went pediatric. I went opposite age bracket. I did nursing home.
Great as well.
Which is great. I don't know. I didn't want to. Yeah. The nursing home was really. Actually, I learned a lot there. It was really great. But yeah, totally.
Yes.
Don't regret it at all.
No, good. Don't. That's great. Okay, so
Are we on
that
to
was
next
also
myth?
a medium myth.
Is it? Yeah, media myth. Try to get paid, but you can't control that.
Yeah, and try to get a stipend if you can't get paid.
Yeah, you can help. You can negotiate that for sure. Have you negotiated from like an unpaid to a stipend before? I haven't, but I've heard of people who can. And have.
Yeah, no, that's great. We can help you with that
and
once we figure that out. Just kidding. We figured it out. Yes. Okay, we're on to our next one. This is all great. You need to intern with a big name, reputable company to get a job, again, with job security or to get that dream job that you want.
Oh boy, this is a big one. I hear this so often. And rightfully so. There a lot of the bigger organizations have like very structured internship programs, a lot of support with that, supervisor development around that. They invest a lot of time and money into developing new talent,
right,
which I think is fantastic. Like if you can get experiences like that, amazing. But I also I do think this is a myth because I do believe that it's not made for everybody, and it's okay if you can't get those experiences. They're very competitive most of the time. And I've worked with a lot of students who feel like all is lost if you don't get it and you're not going to have that job security. And that's just not true. That's why this is a myth in my head. even though like it may be a great experience. I'm not denying that experience as being great. So what would you say to this? Like myth and why, or fact?
Yeah. Fact. No, I'm just kidding. I would say a myth as well. What did they used to call them? Like, I'm thinking in specific, like IS, or IT, right? It used to be FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. Now it's Mang, which is weird.
Microsoft?
But it might be Meta. They changed it. Facebook doesn't exist. But so I had a student who we were talking about this almost this exact question. And he was saying that he needed to get one of those 4, or at least needed to get an interview for one of those 4. And he was a sophomore. And I was saying, okay, that's really interesting. Why do you think you need one of those 4? And he said, I need one of those 4 for the interview process. I said, what do you mean the interview process? And he said, if I can make it through an interview with one of those 4, I can make it through an interview anywhere.
Wow.
So I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it. So while I don't think you do need that, I do think it's real, like thinking about it in that like valuable space, not even to get a role, right? You don't even have to get the job, or the internship, but even if you want to go out for those, that's really great too. So I don't think, another medium myth. I don't think you need to get that role, but like, even if you then go through that interview process and then you go to a startup and you can talk about that interview, or you know what they're asking for, I think that's really valuable as well. But I think you can just get just as much from an internship at a startup or an internship at a museum that you would get from a lot of those like larger companies. Even if you're going out for like a law firm, at smaller law firms, you may get a really great supervisor. Whereas like the larger ones, you get lost.
Very true. Yeah. Small to medium-sized companies you probably will have your hands in more than one thing when you're at a smaller organization too. For those of you listening who like have had that, you're probably like, oh yeah, we did everything at the startup. You know, you touched every department,
right.
And that is really valuable internship experience. Frankly, like you get a look behind the curtain on a lot of different things. So, and that might not necessarily be the case at some larger organizations.
Right.
Some larger organizations do rotational programs though to try to give that type of experience, but it is a minimal like observing type of experience more so than the hands-on like where you're actually like really helping this business in this way, or this smaller company or organization in this way.
That triggered something. For me, I used to work at a nonprofit, and the idea of like wearing all the hats, and you know, people say that as like, oh, we wear so many hats, and you're like, I was so burned out. But the idea like that you're seeing so much more, and that you're getting to, and in an internship, you're supposed to be learning what you like and what you don't. So if you do get into a smaller company where you're doing a bunch of different things, you may say you really like marketing, but then when you're on the ground doing it, it might not be what you want, right? It might just be so different. So yes.
Cool. Okay.
A myth,
So myth, you do not need to work
Some
at
of these might be facts. We're not sure.
Organization. No. That's a myth, I think.
Okay. Am I reading this next?
Oh, I think it's me. Good point. I do need to read it though, because we have so many here.
We do.
Okay. Myth or fact? This is like the quote that we've heard from students. I have no experience because I've been a student. Is that true? Is that false?
That's a myth. That's a big myth right there.
I think we'll agree on that.
Okay. So we do hear that all the time. We hear it all the time. And I think it is a myth for many reasons, but I think the biggest reason is probably something we say at least once a day in the Career Center is transferable skills. So I think that
we'd be really rich if we got like $1 every time that word.
Even a quarter, right? Like a swear jar, but for transferable skills.
Skills.
I think that there are so many, and we see it the most probably with resumes, where people just come in with like a half a page and they're like, I haven't done anything. I think thinking about projects, thinking about collaborating with other students, the things that you see in a internship description or job description, you do in different modalities in school. So I think that that's a really interesting thing for people to say. And I'm not even talking like outside of school, just as a student, you do so much in the classroom, right? You're paying for so much,
Yeah.
and you should be getting stuff out of your classes, and you are. It's just kind of changing how you view it.
And then how you communicate that to like an external audience, right?
Exactly.
Like how do you package your presentation that you might have given in your class and put it potentially on your LinkedIn featured page. So like I bring that up because in my professional communications class that I'm teaching for the media and communications department, they have a e-portfolio project that they do in the classroom. I think some other programs do that type of project too. It does overlap with a ton of different industries. So anyways, they have the choice to create their own website, and that's usually for like the really creative roles and those who want to be like photographers or have like the really visual representations of what they have done and need to put that on a whole separate website because there's a lot. But for the majority of students, they might not have that yet, or they're not going into like a really artistic industry. So we give the option of like a LinkedIn featured section where they upload some examples of their writing or examples of a presentation that they've given. And I get questions all the time before this project is due, is like, I have nothing to pull from. I don't know what to put. Like, what should I use? And then at the end of the project, in their reflection, they're like, it was so surprising to be able to say, oh yeah, I've written this research paper before. I can give a sample of that, and that does showcase my writing ability really well. I've done this Google Slides or PowerPoint presentation for a group project before. That really demonstrates how I visually display information. And it's just cool to see like what they end up choosing and what they're proud of to put on. So if you're thinking about like different ways to visually show what you've done and your skills as opposed to just telling somebody what you've done, think about some e-portfolios. And I'm sure you'll get to a place of you do have experience and some skills to showcase, even if you haven't had like a formal internship or anything.
That's a great point. Yeah. I just think about like what kept you up like at night, like what kept you up doing that project or doing that thing or getting that grade. Like that's the thing you should put on a resume. That's the thing, and the thing that you're proud of. And an e-portfolio. I had a student too the other day who gave me his card, and on the back was this QR code to his e-portfolio. I know, his LinkedIn. He was like, what else can I be doing? And I was like, I don't think anything right this second. This is great.
I want a QR code on my business card so bad.
My gosh. It was really incredible. And I was
So
like,
easy.
here's my card. It has my email.
I know, right?
Contact me if you need it.
The old school way, which still works, but
it still works.
I do like the QR code. I mean, we're in QR code land here at UMBC. I'm sure everybody's like sick of QR codes.
Follow us, QR code.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was a myth, right? So
Yes.
you do have experience. It may not be conventional. And you can pull from a lot of classroom experiences and not just work experiences.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
Cool. Are we on to next? Is it myth or fact? Or do you want to pull?
Oh, should we do? Let's. It's still a myth or fact.
Okay.
But, okay. So, this is to you.
Oh.
I hear about the perfect resume. Are there really strict rules, or is there more flexibility than I might believe? Is that a myth or a fact that there is a perfect resume, perfect format for my resume?
Medium myth? No,
Ah!
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's go with maybe. Well, let
Fast
me talk
fact.
this out.
Yeah.
Maybe if I say this out loud and think
Okay.
through it, we'll land on if it's myth or fact.
Okay.
So on one hand, I'm curious what you will say too. On one hand, resumes are made like it's about you, but it's not for you. So this is where it kind of goes back and forth. So the about you part, right, is customizable, right? You have the experiences that you have that are related to your audience and the ways they're related, right? And you can shift your sections around depending on where you're applying so that you're showcasing what you do have in the best light. So I hope that makes sense. But like, so in a sense, it's customizable. But on the other side of it is there is a structure. There is a format to what employers are looking for and what they want. Not just format, right, where they want to see education and work experience leading, right? Those are their most important sections, but also in what you say and how you say it, right? And nowadays, I mean, it's been around for a long time, applicant tracking systems, but even more so with AI being part of the interview process and application process. Keywords, it's very structured and like, this is what we need and this is what we're going to be scanning for. So like, give the people what they want, like just say it the way they want you to say it. So in some sense, it's very prescribed. So this is where it's tough for me in terms of myth and fact, because I'm like, customize, do your thing, but there's also you got to fit it within this box.
Yes.
What would you say?
Yes. Yeah, I would go even like if we're thinking about myth fact spectrum, I would go that it's more of a fact.
Okay.
And just I have seen so many students with like these incredible like Canva created resumes, and I have been like, this is amazing to look at. It is really nice. It's like it says it screams you, right? You're wearing a shirt that actually looks like your resume, which is super cool. But I have yet to see a case study where a student has said, and I've applied to just one job and I got it because of this resume. It's one of those things where I feel like the hiring manager, the recruiter, who's ever looking at the resume is not looking to be wowed in terms of what is on the page or what it looks like. I think they're looking to be wowed by what you wrote. And what you wrote has to do with your experience and who you are, but it's a lot less of the showy and the wow, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen, right? Your e-portfolio might be great. And if you can get someone to recognize that from your resume, but I just think flashy in resumes is not, and it also, I mean, studies have shown too, it does not get through the applicant tracking systems
That's
as well.
the kicker,
yeah.
right? It's like really the resume, you said something about like the resume got me this job. The resume's purpose isn't to get you the job. It's to get you right? Like it's to get to that next stage. And it's a specifically formatted, it actually doesn't really leave room for your own voice in it at all. It's really prescribed where you're saying like, this is what I did. This is how I did it. This is the results.
Yep.
And then you do that over and over in every bullet point.
Yep.
And that's it. Right.
Yep.
And yes, it shows like what you're passionate about in terms of the past experiences that you've had or projects that you've worked on. But yeah, I'm with you that it is restricting in that way. It's designed for a specific reason. There are a lot of other application materials out there where you can use your voice more, like the cover letter. It still has a structure, but you are able to give more storytelling and like some background onto what is on the resume page, right? Same with e-portfolios, right? Your LinkedIn profiles and the about section that you write about yourself, like that's your voice,
right?
And that's you giving more context to the resume, frankly, right?
That's a great point. We don't have this written down, but like if a job or if an application gives you the option of doing a cover letter and it says like optional, should you do a cover letter?
Yes, because even if no one reads it, the tracking systems may prioritize those who've submitted it.
Okay.
They need to prioritize somehow, right? There's going to have to be something at the end of the day that they have a list of all these qualified people. What is the differentiator, right? Like you're all graduating with X degree, you're all graduating with this GPA potentially, or like this type of experience. What's the difference? Oh, this person went above and beyond or went out of their way to tell us more about why they're interested in us and why they're great for the job, right? So that alone to me is like, why not?
Right.
Submit something, but do it intentionally, because if you're just submitting that same cover letter to every company, that's doing you no favors if you're not customizing it for the person or the organization that you're sending it to. So it's kind of a kicker. It's like, if you're going to do it right, do it intentionally. Yes. If it's not required, and you're sending like an email in, they'll use the body of your email as like an opportunity for some extra context in a cover letter. So it's not like the full length cover letter, but you can give them why you're applying and why you're interested in that descriptor. So even do that, even if it's not asking for a cover letter.
Okay. Yeah. I tell students, I tell students always do the cover letter, but like make sure you're changing the things on the cover letter. But if you really want the job, write a really good cover letter. If you really want the job, it's one of your only chances to like be more than your resume, like in terms of your personality. I think your LinkedIn can do that as well. But I mean, I like writing, so I like a good cover letter, but I think
I hate it. And I'm not terrible at writing, but there's something I like hate the cover letter. You know, I have these recommendations, but I'm like, I know it's painful sometimes to be like, okay, here we go again. I got to rewrite in some ways this context. It can get frustrating, but I'm glad you love it.
I know. I haven't had to do it for a little while. But I just feel like, especially those jobs that I really wanted, I really wanted a chance to be like, listen, here is why I am the best person for this job. And once you meet me, you will realize it, but you have to meet me first, because I felt like the resume was just so dry. So,
not your own voice.
Me. Right. And I think that it can't really be, because you don't know me yet. So here are my skills, here are my experiences, and then give me the chance to tell you why I'm a good fit for this company culture, for this role. Sorry, I got off the
No, that was a
letter.
great addition.
Just thinking about it. Okay.
That was good.
Perfect. So that was, again, medium myth. They're all medium.
Myth. Okay, I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What is next on our list here? Okay. Did we tackle this one?
Oh, that's a really hard one.
Okay. Myth or fact? You need experience in your industry of interest in order to get a job in that industry. Oh no, what are you going to say?
No. Gosh, I really think that's probably the, again, closest to fact.
Okay. Did you see? I wrote that I think it's a myth.
You did. And I
don't know. Let's see. Okay. I want to hear you.
So I'll talk myself through this. So I don't think it needs to be internship experience necessarily.
Okay.
But I feel like, okay, maybe it's not 100% a fact.
Okay, just go with the
fact. But I feel
it's
like
fine.
it makes it so much harder to break into an industry if you have no experience.
Okay.
So even I'm thinking about my previous roles. I was a teacher in high school. The reason I got my first teaching job is because that's where I did my student teaching. So even though it wasn't, and like I didn't have to really do anything else, I didn't have to do any networking because I had a chance to prove myself, and then they had an opening and they were like, do you want the job? And so like I finished out my degree while I was still like getting paid as a substitute teacher to finish that role. And teaching is one of those jobs where I feel like once you get your master's, you pretty much can get a job.
We need teachers.
Yeah, we love those teachers. We need them. We love them. But I do think that for me as a history major, if I had not gone into teaching, it would have been a lot harder for me just to go to a museum and say, hey, I want to be a researcher. Like my dream job was to work for National Geographic.
Oh, yeah.
I applied like many times, but I had zero experience doing, writing anything or doing anything or, but I was like.
Did you know anyone there?
Nope.
That's
I did
also
not.
tough.
I did not know anybody. And so I think that, and even I'm thinking of like the arts as well. So like visual arts and things like that. got to know someone, or you have to know someone, you have to have really fantastic portfolio where someone just looks at it, and that's probably a smaller percentage where it just looks at it and say, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Or you have to have some experience in the field. So
Okay.
I don't want to discourage anyone. I want to encourage people to get
Yeah.
experience, but what do you think?
I like what you said, because I do agree with what you're saying. I think the little caveat in this for me that makes it more myth on the scale is that it has to be experience in that industry.
Okay.
And but I'm with you. I do feel like there are some industries that prioritize that over others.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe even actually, I don't even know if I can name one, but it helps if your coding experience was in the particular tech field that you're applying to moving forward potentially. But I guess I would argue on the other side that like coding is coding,
Right?
and you can apply that to a bunch of different things, right? Just as an example. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily believe that you need the exact experience in the exact industry of your interests. And I think I've seen that because students will get internships. I've gotten internships. I mean, like I said in the beginning, like I studied finance. I had a finance internship. That's where I learned I didn't want to do that moving forward.
Right.
And I still got a full-time job, but it may be like the timeline, you know, if I changed it up earlier or switched my major to marketing, maybe I would have had a different career path, right? I always say, I'm like, I should have switched to marketing. I use most of my marketing classes in the work I do now, but I don't know. I didn't need experience in marketing even to do the work I do now. I didn't need experience in higher education to come back into higher education.
Yep.
But that's also my story, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I also, to your point earlier, I utilized a network to make up for that.
Okay.
So I guess maybe this is where we're landed on something here. I think where it's like, if you don't have that experience in that particular industry, the networking component becomes more necessary.
I'd agree with that.
To kind of make up for the not having that direct line of experience.
Definitely agree with that because I did not network.
You were
very network averse.
Well, you had
at the beginning. Very.
And now look at you
now
all
I
over
love
LinkedIn.
Networking.
The best posts for the center.
Do not look at my LinkedIn.
They're like, let's put Michelle on our marketing committees. She's
I'm good.
I just started having LinkedIn like 3 years ago.
I did not have a LinkedIn before I started here. So,
I remember. And now you're like so on it and like active. It's great.
Gotta market yourself. Okay. I think do we have time for one more?
Oh yeah. Where are we out of time?
Yeah.
Okay. We have some time. Yeah.
There's two more that are probably.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay. Myth. All internships lead to full-time employment or should lead to full-time employment.
Myth. Sure. Okay, great. I'm glad we did.
Yeah, we were right.
Why do you think it's a myth?
Well, what's the conversion rate right now? 40% from internships to full-time roles. And it changes every year. I think it's around.
Yeah. I think it's a little
40.
over 40% actually for UMBC student data that we have, which is really great.
Which is really good.
Which is actually pretty high probably nationally.
Yeah. Well, I think it's I added in the should part because I do think that like internships are supposed to be where you learn what you want to do. And so I think that I've had students who have asked them, how was your internship? And they're like, it was fine. I learned a lot, but like they're not interested maybe in converting to a full-time role.
Even if the opportunity was there. But
Fair. Why do you think it's?
Well, kind of for that reason.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think every internship is great.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think
hot take.
I guess hot take. I don't think every supervisor is going to be a great supervisor, right? Okay. And you might not get the experience you hoped for every time you were in an internship. So maybe it's more on the ownership of you, like you deciding that this isn't for me. That's totally part of the process of having an internship is figuring that out. So I agree with you on that.
Okay.
I will say too that not all internship programs are designed as a funnel to full-time employment either. So like you'll know ahead of time before applying to like a formal internship program at a large organization. They're investing in that so they have a pipeline of new entry-level talent for full-time hires, which is a huge benefit, right? Of going for the big organizations. Smaller, medium-sized, some medium-sized will do that as well, but smaller startups and things like that, they don't have that same structure.
Right.
So it's kind of, it depends, right? Like, do they value the work that you're doing so much as an intern that they're willing to offer you a full-time employment line for that? It could be a brand new position that they make for you. Or it could be they just recently lost somebody unexpectedly who left their company and they need to backfill that. And it just, the timing works out where they would want you to backfill. So your I do think myth.
Okay.
Cool.
Maybe.
Did it?
Maybe. We'll see.
You let us know.
Yeah.
If that's your experience.
Okay. Do you want to do the last one?
Okay, I'll do the last one and see what we got here. Okay. Final question.
Okay.
Or the quote that we hear a lot. I need to know what I want to do with my life now.
I would love to say it. It is a myth. That is probably the myth.
Do you know what you want to do the rest of your life?
Right now?
Yeah.
At 35, I do not know what I want to do right now with the rest of my life.
Point proven.
There you go. It's a myth. Yeah, that one is just, I think, so crazy. Though we do have, right? We have students that come in and they're like,
no.
They know exactly what they want to do. And that's great too. That's admirable. But I think it's more great to have a growth mindset. And throw that in there.
Little buzzword, growth mindset, but I completely agree.
Yeah.
I love that.
Why do you think it's a myth?
100%. Same reason.
Yeah.
There are jobs that will exist 5-10 years from now that do not exist today. And the way in terms of like career development and the lane we're in and helping students, it's yes to get that first experience, like to learn from that experience, then to get that full-time job offer for after graduation. It's still for that learning, right? Like at the end of the day, we are learning professionals, like education professionals here. Like, and I do believe in that growth, lifelong learning mindset throughout your entire life. Like I am still learning every single day and I've been doing this for a very long time, but job market changes, like economy changes, like there's going to be, and technology changes alone. Right. The pace of change is so quick nowadays compared to previous times that we're preparing ourselves for the unknown. So like, how are we supposed to know?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That could scare a lot of people.
Yeah.
I find it exciting, to say like, I'm equipping myself with these skills that can kind of apply to a bunch of different types of things. And to the unknown things that are going to be coming.
That I was just talking with a student the other day, machine learning analyst.
Cool.
I was like, what is that? Training the machines. And I was like, that did not exist 3 years ago.
For sure.
Like not even 5 years ago. So you're thinking of these, and then we know people are not staying at jobs as long. So the fact that would know what you want to do with or at least the rest of your life till you retire at an early age if you can. But I think that it's such an interesting concept that we expect 18, 19, 20, whatever, or like
it all mapped out.
Yep, to have it all mapped out. And some people do, and that's great. Most people don't. And most people are still working on it until the end of their careers. And I think that that's a really cool thing. We have people in our office who are learning how to use ChatGPT and that they never thought they would have to do something like that.
That's true.
And it's fun. And I think it's fun to embrace those new things and be able to change. And we're lucky we work in a semi stable, environment, but who knows what that'll look like, and we don't know what that'll look like.
Higher education is changing before our eyes, not changing but like evolving and adapting to responding to new things, and I think that's an exciting place to be.
So it's a myth.
Okay. We ended on a myth.
We didn't have any facts.
We had one fact. Well, like
I think you talked me out of the fact.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. You said, no, it's a myth.
Okay.
Fine. All myths.
Myths.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks for watching. We're excited for this. I mean, we're in season 2 now, which is crazy.
Oh my gosh. Season
Yeah.
finale? Oh no. Season finale. will
season
be-
2.
Okay.
Like the start of our season.
Okay.
Yeah, we're like in it.
Wow.
It's
we're
exciting.
in it right now. Wow. That's exciting.
So we hope you join us in the comments, pose your questions, your thoughts on these myths, if they're myth or fact, for you and your role. And we're happy to help you through this whole process. So
If you have any facts, please post those as well.
we need some facts
For our next episode, facts. All facts.
All facts.
Awesome.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you guys.